You know what's better than one union?
What?
Two unions.
Nice.
That's exactly where we are. So we are going to stay on schedule and not just do a really bad stand-up show. And we're going to take you through to something that we're extremely excited about, which is that we have an interview with the Don Dada, the special guest himself, Boots Riley. Boots Riley and Evan. Oh, my camera just dropped a little bit, but yeah,
No,
it's
you did.
really hyped about Evan. I don't know Evan's last name, but we're just going to go with Evan for now. Evan is a grocery store worker who's organized with his coworkers with support from EWOC. And Boots Riley, for those who do not know, activist, filmmaker, musician, director of the film Sorry to Bother You, book of lyrics and anecdotes, Tell Homeland Security We Are the Bomb, is out from Haymarket Press, so check it out once you're finished donating all your money that you can give to EWOC. And we're going to kick it off over to Boots by first saying thank you so much for joining this special interview and supporting EWOC.
Thank you, Boots.
Thank you, Boots. We love you, Boots. And
what's going
here's
on?
Boots.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I heard that you and some friends recently organized something at your supermarket, which shall not be named.
Me and some friends at the store have been, sort of started to organize at the beginning of COVID, and we've sort of been moving on and recently have sort of teamed up and have started a sort of a national network of workers at the company with the help of EWOC, which is, I think, I did what a lot of workers did at the beginning of the pandemic. We saw our work conditions got really scary, and that they worsened, and then we felt we weren't being treated with respect by our company. And so I started to talk to people and be like, hey, how can we make this better? And then I heard about EWOC through a friend, and I reached out and talked to some organizers from EWOC.
So what were some of the demands that you had at first?
Safety demands mostly. So we started off with that at first, even we weren't given any PPE, and we were even discouraged from wearing masks in the store at first because they were like, oh, we don't want customers to think you're afraid of them. And we were afraid of them for good reason. Our store is maybe a couple blocks away from where one of the hospitals with the morgue trucks piled up outside of there in April. So we had good reason to be afraid. That and other things like demands for hazard pay was a really big demand that sort of sprung up across the country. So that was initially, and the demands for COVID safety really kept on going on until really recently. I think people really widely felt sort of unhappiness with the company's response and with the lack of sort of support we were getting and the lack of communication we were getting. That was universal, but people's understanding of how to stand up against that, or like how to get a response, was really different. A lot of people thought like, oh, I'll go and have a one-on-one conversation with the manager. I'll have a one-on-one conversation with, the regional manager, or I'll call HR, or,
How'd that work out?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, it does nothing,
So the actions on the floor, say nobody's heard of them. What is that? What's an action on the floor at the store?
But the coolest thing we did was that there was they were trying to roll back our COVID safety, get rid of social distancing, open up the store more, pack more people in, because the managers get commission based on store sales. Workers don't. So they were trying to increase customer flow into the store, increase capacity, and speed us up in unsafe ways. And really cool thing that we did is we organized a petition. We got a ton of our coworkers to sign it, and then we marched on our manager on the shop floor, and made our demands known, and they responded. We won pretty much everything, because because we we showed ourselves to be an organized force of workers. We were disciplined. We were very, we were respectful and polite, but we also showed that we had real power and that we were organized.
Whoa.
And so, this doesn't happen too often, especially non-organized, non-union shops. That's a really rare thing. So I'm really proud of what we were able to do.
They must have had a different look on their face than you'd seen before.
Yeah, it really changed things in the store for a long time.
We should talk about how the fact that you were able to reach out and just get in contact with EWOC, and they have a site, right, that folks can go to. Went to workerorganizing.org, I think is the site. And I filled it out, and then someone called me. And then the website has a ton of really useful resources also. Even before we had started to talk with EWOC, I was on the website and I was like, oh, check out this resource. I was like, oh, here's how you structure an organizing conversation with your coworkers. Here's how you build a committee. Here's how you do an action. They were really helpful and, persistent. And really, and then, I got in touch with EWOC, and then they got back in touch with me. It's like, hey, we got this, worker from your company who's in a different state who wants to talk. Let's get on a call, that kind of thing. So they've really been super, super helpful. Once I reached out to them, they've been really helping us organize in a really, I think, important way. Labor agitation, labor organizing is coming up now. There's been these huge social movements that have been happening over the last decade that most of my coworkers have been participating in. And I think it's been really useful because EWOC seems to me to be, connecting a social movement organization model with a labor movement organizing. What do you think are the possibilities now, because a lot of that stuff was during quarantine and there was a heightened sense of immediacy, right? With what needed to happen. What do you think are the potentials for organizing now coming out of quarantine?
Because of the experience of the pandemic and needing to organize for our safety, not, having the company and the company of a lot of my friends also not doing the right thing without being forced to by their own workers, I think has shown people really the need to organize and to agitate. And the sort of, I think a lot of people were like, oh, the companies are going to do the right things. Where all I need to do is reach out to the manager and we'll get this fixed one-on-one, that kind of thing. And people have a general understanding that it's not going to happen unless organizing happens. And we've actually seen, even as the pandemic's sort of coming to an end, not really, but sort of, that people are still agitated, people still want to organize, and more people have been coming out of the woodwork to talk to us through EWOC, filling out that form. And I thought it would slow down, but it really hasn't. And I'm trying to, it's not clear why, but I think partially it's just that corporations are still doing the wrong thing, and that people are still getting angry about it. We'll see what happens, but I think hopefully the ability to, do things like good old fashioned, meet in person, that kind of things that we couldn't do for a year, we can do again,
Which comes to the thing of why this is a fundraiser, right? So folks donate to EWOC so they can get in touch with more Evans around the globe.
You want to get in touch with an organizer, you want some helpful resources on workplace organizing, check out workerorganizing.org.